Hello everybody, this is Loveness and Nleya. I'm so excited to be here with MD Nyunyai from Spring Up Publishing. Today we're talking about something totally different. We've got our Spring Up textbooks here, and so we just want to get into how do we pick, what are the textbook tips that you can give for different stakeholders when they are picking textbooks, either for like me wanting to homeschool my children or support the academic progress for my child, or maybe I'm a well-wisher, an NGO, or someone who wants to donate. And how do I pick the textbooks? How do I know which textbooks, and how do we gauge the quality? I mean, what are the tips that you can give us?
Okay. Hi, Loveness.
Hi, Nyunyai.
Oh, and I am happy to be here again and discussing textbook tips. So, Loveness, to answer your question, I think the first thing that you need to answer is what examination board am I writing to?
Okay.
So, if you're writing to ZIMSEC, then first what you need to look out for is whether the book is approved for use by the Ministry of Education, primary and secondary education. And most publishers, I think all publishers actually, they indicate on their book, somewhere maybe on the cover or on the first page, that it has been approved by the ministry. So that's the first thing you want to look at, because that tells you that the book has been written to the specs of the syllabus, of the curriculum. So that's the first thing that you obviously want to look at. Then you said this, if you're homeschooling, I think again, still it depends on what examination board you want to write to, but sometimes it's also about really just what your school wants. You know, most parents are guided by the school teachers with regards to the books to buy for the children. So we've come across parents who don't have much of a choice. They come to you and they want a grade 7 mathematics textbook, and then they then realize that the textbook that we've got is not what the teacher recommends. And some of them would have bought the book, and then they realize later that that's not the book that the teacher wants. But fortunately for us at Spring Up Publishing, when parents get to see our textbooks, they'll then just say, like, you know what, sometimes they'll just tell you out of courtesy that the teacher wanted this textbook, but I'll keep your book because I like the quality, I like the extras that it has, especially the nutrism. So the other thing that you can look out for a book, when you're buying a book, like you said, well wishers or like the NGOs, is the strength, just the strength, because you obviously want to give your child a book. This is a grade 5, 7 textbook. You obviously want to give your child a textbook that will allow them to go through grade 7 without falling apart. So there is the strength, just the strength of the book. And this, we can afford to stress test our books because we are confident.
You're confident.
Yes. So when books are put together, they've got what they call PUR binding. And there's also stitching that you can do. So you can have either or. Okay. As Spring Up Publishing, we do both.
You do both.
We do both. We stitch the book.
Look at the way she's stitching that textbook.
Yes. You know, we confidently can do this. Know that this book won't go apart.
Yes.
So so if you want to have a decent time with the book, you have to make sure that.
I'm just looking at it doing this, and I'm thinking, really?
Yes, so
it looks good.
It does. And this book, Loveness, that I'm actually showing you, it's not the first time it's been stress tested. It's one of the books that our team uses as samples. So, but then it's been to many schools. And that's one thing the team will always do when they bring a book to a school, to introduce it to a school, as they try to market the book, they will demonstrate. We call it a stress test. They show you that this book can withstand stress. And our children, our learners, obviously, it can be thrown there. We also just make sure even the paper inside is also quite strong. You know, we've got what we call GSMs. So we've got specifications, in respect of the cover, of the paper inside, and all this speaks to the quality and the longevity of the book. So yeah, so that's what we do. What we also then do as Spring Up Publishing is that, I'm sure you can also see that this is high definition.
Yes, love it.
Unfortunately, it's a math textbook, so it won't have many images inside, but everything about the books, every single book that we have, high definition pictures.
High definition pictures.
To capture the attention of the learner.
Okay.
When their attention is captured, they are going to be forced to read. So high definition text, so this would discourage parents who want to buy photocopied textbooks, black and white. You are now forcing the child to learn, and children don't want to be forced to learn. They say, I think the teachers all know, a child engaged is half taught. Yes.
Okay.
So yes. So you
of
want
a code.
yes, code of a code. So if you get the child engaged, they're half taught.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So our textbooks, they've got high definition pictures. We try to just engage our learners and get to enjoy the reading. Reading is critical, and yeah. And then the other thing that we also then do, Loveness, I think I shared this with you before.
Yes.
In our textbooks, like for mathematics, for this is ICT, again, very proud about the covers.
I love the covers.
We can stress test it for you. So.
Doing it again. You know, when we were growing up, I had a teacher, I won't mention her name, she would be like, Loveness, don't treat your books like that. And they ingrained it in us on how to treat the book. So I can't,
You're struggling with it.
I'm like, wow, but look at the
we also don't encourage our learners to do that. They must value a book for the content that it has.
Yes. Yeah.
But we need to show you, the parent, or the world, that look, we are giving you value for your money. Yes. And this book is not just supposed to be used by one grade 7 child.
Yes.
It's supposed to be able to go through from child to child to child. So that
makes sense.
Yes, you don't need to be buying textbooks every year.
So just before you go, I mean, parents, if you're a parent and you've bought a textbook, can you just put in the comments what has been the shortest life for your textbook? Just out of curiosity, what is the shortest lifespan of a textbook? Because definitely, I mean, like, we've experienced this. Sometimes we talk about it, that some of the textbooks that I'm using for my children are textbooks that I got when I was a child, but it's not the same anymore. But I'm so excited that Spring Up is doing this, and we can absolutely opt for your books. I'll recommend them. Yeah.
What we also then do, what I'd also ask a parent to look at is also like, what subject am I buying? What learning area? We call them learning areas. What learning area am I looking for? And then if it's like a humanities subject, maybe your Faremes or your English or your heritage and social studies, the size of the book might not really matter in terms of whether it's A4 or A5. It might not really matter because in there is more of literature and and so the child is just getting information about But then if you're not going to buy a textbook like for ICT, I'd always tell a teacher or a parent or a well-wisher to look for a bigger textbook. And why am I saying that, Loveness? When a child is learning ICT, they're trying to learn how to, for example, create a database, right? The textbook is supposed to walk them through the paces.
Okay.
And part of the walking through the paces is showing them images of what it must be looking like on your screen. So the bigger the book, the more visible the image is, the more easier it is for the child to compare, as they are also trying to create their own database. So such subjects, you want to look for a book that has got images that can really portray what a child is supposed to be seeing. So at Spring Up Publishing, you will never see us with an ICT textbook that is smaller than this, from grade 3 to grade 7. We make sure that we blow up whatever pictures, because it's a practical subject, and the child has to be. They can't just learn by reading a textbook. They have to learn and practice,
Okay,
learn and practice. And it allows them to self-mark if the images are large. So the teacher doesn't have to go through to every student and say, correct, move forward, correct, move forward. No, you know, you won't have a learner seated 20 minutes waiting for the teacher to help the other colleagues because they can't mark themselves. The textbook is not clear enough. But if the textbook image is clear enough, a child can already see that I am on the right path or I'm on the wrong path. And they can quickly raise their hand and get help. So the teacher then pays attention to only the learners who want help. And not just going around and checking
everyone.
So for such textbooks, we believe that it has to be a big textbook so that the images are blown out and the child can walk through. Same thing for mathematics. Mathematics, in the end, if we want to cut this book to make it a small book, we can. Because we still are able to show examples. But if you're going to make it a small book, it's going to be very, very thick. Because there are lots of examples that we want to put in the book. There's a lot of content that you want to put in there. The curriculum is just a guideline. It tells you what the learner is supposed to have learned by the end of a lesson. It's now a publisher choice in terms of how much content am I going to put for that objective to be met. But it takes an educationist to say, this is not enough content for the objective to be met. Yes, I've got the content that answers to the objective, but is it enough? Is it enough for the learner? Learner-centric. We go back to the learner. Is it learner-centric? So you then find that depending on the concept to be taught and the level of difficulty that a child might then have in understanding the concept, other topics will need them to have 5 examples. One can get away. You can get away with 1 example because it's a simple and straightforward concept. But then some will require you to do 8 examples before you can confidently say, I have brought this concept to the child and they've understood it. So our textbook as Springer Publishing, our mathematics textbook are all this big because grade 3 to 7 because of the number of examples that we want to put in. I tell you, Loveness, you can have 1 example in each
book and you'd meet the requirements of many.
The objective needs to be answered. And you can have 1 example. You can explain it a bit more and have 1 example. You know, but as a learner-centric publisher and as an educationist, as a parent who's homeschooling, you know that the more examples the child has, you know, and examples will have answers and it will have steps that it takes them through the steps that they would have to go through for them to get to the answer. So you are taking through the child 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, even if you have to, for a child to say, oh, I get it.
And you know what, now that you're talking about it, I remember certain subjects at some point I would have the textbook, I would go through the textbook and get nothing.
It happens.
And get nothing. And you're like, and then when you get to the assessment section, it's like, okay, there seems to be like a gap or a missing link.
So how you then end up getting it correct, Loveness, I believe, is you then go back through the same examples 4 or 5 times.
4 or 5 times.
The same examples because you're saying, how am I getting it wrong? How am I getting it wrong?
Yeah.
But then, so we then give you the chance to have more examples and just try to practice it out and get it right. So so that's another tip I'd give to a parent. But I'd also give you a tip to buy a book that comes with tech inside.
Yes.
With digital content.
Yes.
Buy a Spring Up textbook.
Yeah.
Because when you buy a Spring Up textbook, you've bought digital content already. You've already bought yourself e-learning.
Yes.
Because the book comes already with integrated with e-learning inside. So why not buy a book?
Take advantage of
why not just buy that book and then get that application?
Yeah. So
and the application is for free.
The application is for free.
It's for free. The textbook, you can do comparisons. Look, that's another tip that a parent just also needs to do. Look at pricing comparison. If they're all ministry approved, it means they're all answering to the syllabus. It means your child is supposed to be able to write a grade 7 ZIMSEC examination and be able to answer the questions because they all fit the objective. So you then also can just compare. If you have the liberty of choosing a book, you can also then compare prices. Which will get which price works for my budget. And I believe generally. Loveness, when you look at our textbooks within the market, I think pricing is generally we're all around the same ballpark. Yeah, we are all around in the same ballpark. But Spring Up Publishing has an add-on that nobody else has.
And that's
got
the thing.
Digital content.
It's got digital content.
It's already in there, so you know that your learner or your child is able to get on with it even without a teacher. Last year when we did our what you call it, our launch, we went to schools. We were given 2 schools by the Ministry of Education to do pilot testing with, and the schools that did the pilot testing with, they gave us learners from grade 6 and grade 7, and these learners, when we're now asking them, talking to them like I'm talking to you right now, about what they thought about NutraZim and the benefits it gave them. Oh my word, Loveness, you are supposed. I'm sure you've seen the video, or maybe
yes, I did.
And that's you know, and this is just a normal school textbook that they've got, but they're able to see something else that they were not able to see in any other textbook, and they explain to you and like, oh, it was amazing seeing the heartbeat and doing that, and it was amazing seeing the rain come down in the water cycle and actually hearing the rain, because we also, like I said, we also have sound, and so and the price of that textbook is comparable with all other textbooks.
There's no extra cost for having that application.
So why not just get a book that allows your child to just get on with it? One learner was actually saying, you know, there are things that I saw in it that my teacher might never be able to explain to me because they can't, because she was talking about the heart and the heart in a 3D form, and you know, and then being dissected. So the teacher, will make an attempt to explain that, but it's not as good as seeing it. Yeah.
And I love the heart, especially because it is, you know what, you should experience that one for yourself. When you see that heart beating, when I was doing biology in school, high school, I remember our teacher we had the textbooks, and it was 2-dimensional, literally. But she had passion for her work. But there was no way, when I compare the experience that I had with NutraZim and what she did, despite being a brilliant teacher, the gap is wide.
The gap is
wide.
One parent who actually came to our offices to buy that book was saying, look, if I had been learning during this era, I would not fail. There is no excuse to fail. If I'm able to see this like that, then there is no excuse to fail. Because even so, for the videos that you're not able to, for the topics that have got videos, you might not even need to read the content.
Oh, I hear you. Okay.
For that, just those, not the whole book, just those sections. You might not even need to read the content around that, because the content in that video explains
what is already in the textbook.
Yeah. So imagine, when you read, you've got the digital content to augment what you read.
And I love the fact that we're already using augmented reality. The kids are already using them in the games. The learners, they're experiencing them on TV, on all that. And education somehow seems to have been lagging behind. I don't know if anyone else agrees. So now having that option to say, okay, we now have this in education. And I think then that explains why there are these wide-eyed looks of excitement. When I said, I think I watched it, I did more than twice. I must admit and confess, I could not believe I was actually seeing that.
Yeah, so you talked about gaming and our children already having experience with augmented reality with their phones, on using other apps. So what we've simply done, Loveness, is taken their love for the gadgets. And we've turned it for the good. You know, our children love gadgets, and believe me, even if it's for education, they love gadgets. You know, you give them that gadget and show them this nature video, they will watch through it. They'll watch for the 3 minutes.
Yes.
They just love gadgets. That's the way they want to learn. So it's unfair for us to then expect a child who wants to spend 80% of their time on a gadget and say, look, you have to get on with reading, with schoolwork, and this is how you're going to do it. They will not enjoy it. So why not make it enjoyable? You know, why not make it enjoyable, and then you extract the benefit out of what they like.
Yes.
So that is really what we see Nitra as. It's because when you've got a textbook and a child has other things happening on the gadget, you're competing with the child. You're competing for the child's attention. Yes, they'll go through schoolwork as fast as they can, as clumsy as they can, so that you can feed them and they go back there to their gadgets. Yeah. So why not put what they're supposed to learn in their gadgets?
Makes sense. Makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
You just need to experience Nutrizim for yourself. Nutrizim is a mobile app that you can only get or use or fully utilize with a Spring Up textbook. So we've been talking about the Spring Up textbooks, and you've heard for yourself about Nutrizim.